This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, welcome everyone. Today's topic is virtual live property tour in Oak Park. Okay, so this property is offered by a wholesaler for $155,000. So our job is to find out if it's a deal or no deal. So the first thing that we're gonna do is before even we dive into the property, we need to understand the area. We need to make sure that the area supports our exit strategy. So we have three exit strategies in real estate. You either flip, buy and hold, or wholesale. So the first thing that you need to understand is the neighborhood. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into ChicagoDealVault and then look up Oak Park, okay? Oak Park, it's a great neighborhood, by the way. So we just wanna confirm what type of exit strategies it supports. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the upper right hand corner area reports, and then I'm just going to type in Oak Park. Okay, so right here, as you can see, it's an A area. This is the third column from left to right. It supports flips. Okay, livability score, it's over 83. So it's a great neighborhood where you have great employment, low crime, great schools, great access to highways. Now let's look at some pricing. Okay, sweet spot to buy a detached is 440,000 right here. And then the rents are about 2,000. Okay, so that is why it makes sense that this area does not support a cash flow strategy because the prices are so high that you won't be able to collect enough rent to pay for the mortgage payments and cover all the operating expenses. So the rule of thumb for rentals is the 1%. So if you're going to pay 440,000 for a property, you need to collect 4,400 in rent, so 1%. So it's not going to happen. That is why this area supports flips. So the next thing that we're going to do is do a power search on the address. Okay, so this is the address that we're going to look at. It's 905 North Humphrey. Okay, so now let me do a power search. 105 North Hump. Okay, right here. It's the first one. So the second thing that you need to do is location, location, location. So unfortunately, there's nothing found on this property in Oak Park. Okay, so we're gonna need to do it on the browser to look at the map. Okay, I want to see what I'm gonna open up a new tab and then see what the location is like, because the second thing that you need to pay attention to is location, location, location. Is this property in a busy street? Okay, because you do not want to be in a busy street near cemetery, commercial strips, airports, train tracks. So this is, I'm gonna do a zoom in right here. Um, so it looks like it's in a quiet neighborhood. So location is good. And this is a playground in the back. So it's perfectly fine. So location is perfectly, absolutely great. So it's even on North Boulevard. So there's a South Boulevard street right here that it's kind of busy, but it's not a big deal. West Suburban garage doors. Okay, so location is, it's good. So the next thing that we're going to do is dive into the property and then come up with some estimates and see how much it makes sense to get the property on there. Okay, so right here, what I'm going to show you is just a layout of the property. Okay, so we just want to see the property. It's got two levels. So the lower level seems to be the garage. Okay, and then if we look at the property from the top, I mean, it's a big mess, and I think it requires a lot of work. So let me just spin the property this way. So we see a lot of rooms, right? Which you would expect in this neighborhood because too many rooms, right? Whereas now the new trend is open space, where you don't have room after room after room. It's all open space, especially in the living area. So right here, let's just dive into the kitchen. So we're gonna start right there. So the property, just by getting a close-up, it requires a lot of work. And then as you can see, it's got some damage in the ceiling. So the whole thing, it's very, very dated, from flooring to walls to kitchen. So I would imagine that everything needs to be done in this property. So this is one of the bedrooms. So this requires, whoa, a lot of work. So when you enter these type of properties that have been neglected for so long, you would expect to touch every single system in this property. Okay, so let's just quickly, before making any assumptions, walk the property. So this is the bathroom. Um, okay, so the bathroom looks, still, everything is obviously dated, but it looks in better condition than the rest of the rooms. Okay, so it still needs to be updated. And then electric, these outlets are very, very old. So my suspicion is that you may have a conduit, which is not allowed. So they'll have you upgrade the electric. So that could be quite expensive, like 12,000, depending on the size of the property. So here, pretty much everything. So there's gonna be, oh, look at this outlet. Okay, I just went too fast. Disregard the junk. I know it's hard to see the property when there's so much junk, um, but we just wanna, whoa, it's like a big, big mess. So look here, on the left, right here, the outlet. So electric for sure is gonna need some work. Um, and then the flooring, you have carpet, but underneath, we don't know. Most likely is, hopefully it would be hardwood floors, but oftentimes it has plywood. Okay, so you would need to do like new flooring on this property. So this is the living area. We just want to get a feel for the property um, to see what it would take. So now, one of the things that when you walk a property that you need to pay attention to, you need to pay attention to the high ticket items, which are electric, plumbing. So for plumbing, many of the things you won't be able to see much, like electric plumbing, but the HVAC, right? So let's try to find out what type of heating and cooling system this property has. When they are super, super old, usually they have radiators, but there's so much clutter that I'm trying to find if I see radiators, because I don't see any vents. Like the supply and return, I don't see them on the wall, but again, there's a lot of clutter. So let me know if you see the vents, because vents will represent central air. So let me just move on to another room. Let's go now down into the basement, okay? Let's find out more about the mechanicals. Whoa, so the basement is again very, very cluttered, and they're running cables. You see all these cables that are hanging on the wall? That's a big no-no, okay? So I would imagine that electric would need to be upgraded big time in the property. So this is the washer. Okay, let's step into the boiler room. So this is the water heater. I mean, it looks okay. Let's step further into the mechanicals. So it seems like you have some duct work. This is extremely, extremely old, most likely. And it's kind of dark. So I can't see I cannot see the furnace or the water heater very well, but it's extremely cluttered in here. So right off the bat, friends, just to clean up this property, um, this would take, whoa, I would say with this much clutter, this size property, it would be like 3,500 at least to up to 5,000. Okay, because you need labor to pretty much do the demo work, because you're gonna need to do demo work on the bathroom, on the kitchen, especially the kitchen, the bathroom as well. So yeah, you should account for at least 5,000 in demo work. So that's not only the cleanup of the existing junk, but it's also part of the demo. So when you demo the walls for the or the drywall for the bathroom, the kitchen, maybe the cabinets and so forth, that's all part of it. So let's see if we see. I'm still unsure as to the heating and cooling system. I don't see any window units. Oh, here I see the thermostat right here. So my suspicion is that it either has, because I don't see the vents, it may have a baseboards, but it's through water heater. Okay, so they're not electric baseboard; they're through water heater. So heat is done through water heater, but the issue is the cooling, right? So the cooling, they must have window units somewhere. Let's just go to one of the bathrooms. I mean, this property needs a lot of work. Let's just go into another room that we have not been to. How about this one? Okay, so this is a small room. So again, there's so much personal belongings. You see the electric wall. So my assumption is that you may have some roof issues, obviously windows, electric, plumbing, HVAC, flooring, windows, bathrooms. So this is a pretty big rehab. Okay, um, so let's go back to this property. I want to make sure that I enter the right property. It's 905 North. So let me correct this. It's 905. So we were. Did I enter that right here? Yeah, unfortunately I entered 105, so it's 905. Here we go. Okay, so let's do the power search now. And then through DealVault, okay, here we go. I want to again look at the location. So again, the location is good right here. So it's in a quiet street. So now let's look at, so it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,100 square feet, single family home. The potential ARV on this property is about 300,000. Okay, 300,000. Now think about this. Here, based on the size of the property, it's and the location, the rehab is not going to be nowhere this amount. It's going to be way over this amount because this is what I would call a good rehab because you've got to touch every single system in the property. You're gonna need to do HVAC, plumbing, electric, flooring, windows, perhaps roof. So the rehab expense, this is a big job. Okay, so here it says, assuming that you were to spend 30,000 in rehab, look at this. The most you should pay for this property is 189. So the wholesaler is asking for 155, but let's take 30,000 more for the rehab. So the big question is how much the rehab is going to be. So every time, let me just give you a rule of thumb. Every time you touch a system like electric, to redo the electric and remove conduit and put the hard pipe, that's going to be like 10 to 12,000. And then plumbing, another 6 to 10,000. Now HVAC, if we're gonna change this to central air, this could be 10 to 12,000. So right off the bat, I have 35,000. And then we have not touched windows, roof, kitchen, bathrooms, flooring, paint. So the rehab on this property is going to be at least, including with the cleanup and demo work, is going to be no less than 85,000, okay, all combined. And this rehab is going to take 2.5 months. So even if you were to buy it for the right price, 155, because the way to compute how much you should pay for it is very simple. So the ARV, we're going to be very conservative right now. So it's going to be 300,000. We're going to multiply these by 70%, okay? And then we're going to subtract the rehab amount. It's going to be 85. So the most you should pay for this property is 125, okay? So the wholesaler is asking for 155. But let me just tell you right off the bat, even if the wholesaler was asking for 125 and we could get it for 125, we would skip this project. Okay, so the reason why is because it's way too much work. And then not only that, but Oakbrook supports flips. And guess what? Right now is not the time to do flips. Why? Because property prices are coming down. So by the time you finish the rehab, 2.5 months, 3 months, you're going to be July, August, September, October, you're going to be into early winter, right? So it's gonna sit in the market, and then you have elections, right, in November. So this property, if you were to do a flip, is going to go into next year. If you put it in the market in the winter, it's just gonna sit, okay? So this project can easily take off up to a year to move. So it's too much work, right? Just for when we compute the formula of the ARV times 70% is with the assumption that you're going to be making a 20% return on the investment. So assuming you were to sell the property for 300,000, and that is being very optimistic, okay? So you're going to be making 20% of that, it's 60,000. So you're going to be making 60,000 in about, I would say, being realistic, 10 to 12 months. So I'm gonna divide these by 12 months, okay? So you're gonna be making like 5,000 per month, and the risk is huge, okay? Because you have carrying cost, you have holding expenses, and you run the risk of the property value going down as time goes on, because there are gonna be a huge number of foreclosures coming down the pipe due to forbearance, due to high unemployment. So they're gonna be no less than 25 to 30,000 foreclosures coming down the pipe in the next 6 to 12 months, which is huge, okay, just in Illinois. So right off the bat, I would say this is a no deal. So they're asking for 155. Our numbers say that we should pay 125. Even perhaps somebody with a construction company, a construction background, they may feel comfortable taking on this project, but us as investors, you should not take these type of projects, okay? Ideally, you want to take properties where the rehab is no more than 40,000. Ideally, you won't have a basement, because the minute you have a basement, you need to look into making sure the sump pump, the sewage is not backing up, no foundation issues, no cracks, no flooding. So it just opens up a new kind of worms, right? So you want to stick to 3 bedroom, 2 bath, brick house with no basement. That's the ideal case scenario, okay? So my recommendation is this is a no deal, because also think about this. You want to invest in an area that supports both strategies. You want to be able to do either a rental or a flip. But unfortunately, property prices are so high that the rents collected will not cover for all the expenses, meaning operating expenses, the mortgage, tax, insurance, and also, that's a great point, taxes in Oakbrook are way too high. So let me just show you what the taxes are in this property, because taxes could be a deal breaker, okay, when it comes to cash flow. But even in this case, since you're gonna, let's say, do a flip, that's the assumption, that's the strategy that Oakbrook supports. Obviously, you've got to pay for taxes, right? So let me just show you. Owner loan tab, and then taxes, 6,000 for this property, okay? Um, so I was actually expecting a lot higher um, in taxes. So it's not too bad, but it's on the high end still, okay? So it's not cheap. Are there any questions, any comments on this quick analysis? Because that's how you need to analyze properties. You need to analyze them in less than 5 minutes, okay? So you look at the area, make sure that your exit strategy is supported, and then you look at the location of the property, making sure that it's not in a busy street near cemeteries, train tracks, airports, and then you dive into the property. But this property requires way too much work, over 80,000 worth of work. You should buy it for 125. They're asking for 155. You cannot do rentals, only flips, and due to the economy contraction, flips are extremely risky. And then for this type of project, you do need great contractors, a great GC, and then let me tell you, Oak Park is very strict when it comes to inspections. Okay, so they want to make sure that everything is done up to code. They're going to require a licensed plumber, and licensed electrician, a permit for windows. Any work on the roof will require a permit. Any work on the foundation will require a permit. So pretty much also the HVAC will require a permit. So when you're touching that many systems, your risk is just exponential. And we're not in the construction business, friends. We are in the investment of real estate business, which means you want to take on small projects and get them out the door quick, whether it's a flip or a rental. Are there any questions on the line? I just wanted to emphasize the sequence of steps that you need to take when analyzing a property. So look at the area that supports your exit strategy, then location, and finally dive into the property. Are there any questions on the line? We have a great crowd today, so please don't be shy. Ask questions. Okay, so here we have a question. It says business entity question. Is my wife a partner? Should I create? Yeah, create an LLC for sure, James. When two or more partners are into the business, do an LLC. It's way easier. If you're a single investor, do an S corp. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Thank you for the comment, Michelle. Are there any other questions? I want to make sure that we cover everyone's questions. We have a great crowd today. I want to make sure that all of you understand the process of analyzing deals like we just did, okay? In a matter of minutes, we can decide, yes, it's a good deal. No, it's not a good deal. Are there any other questions? Can everyone hear me? I want to make sure. Michelle, can you hear me now? Okay, okay, sound is good. Perfect. Thank you, Mike. So friends, do you have any questions on the sequence of steps that we took to analyze this deal? It was just so simple. And that's how the pros do it. So let me tell you what you need to stick to right now. Stay away from flips, stick to rentals and wholesales. Okay, now if you have a flip right now or a property you need to sell, you have to sell it right away because property prices are decreasing and they could decrease up to 30% in the next 12 months. And save cash because there are going to be a huge number of great deals coming down the pipe. You need to be ready. Cash is king. Hard money lenders are requiring 10-15% down payment, so you need to be ready for that. Try to get your FICO score higher. You're going to get better terms. And continue to sharpen the saw, meaning join the webinars, sharpen your skill set, have access to all the technology, all the leads that we're giving you. Because I want to make sure that when the time is ready to pull the trigger, you have everything that it takes to be successful. Okay. So, friends, if you still don't have access to ChicagoDealVault, I'm gonna give it to you for free for the next 30 days. So all you need to do is fill out this form. Okay, and then for the package, select special ChicagoDealVault, and then the promo is virtual. Okay. Now there are a couple of questions that came on the line. Do most of properties in the database have photos of the inside? Um, so what we do is this is done via a 3D camera. So most of the properties that you find off market through the system, you won't have any pictures. Okay, you may have some pictures. When we do a power search, if those properties were ever listed in the MLS, we're going to find some pictures. But most oftentimes you will not have any pictures, but you can reach out to the owner and get some pictures, or the ultimate objective is to make an appointment and see the property, either virtually or physically in person. Okay, another question, when should you involve a real estate agent, lawyer into the purchase process? Great question. So if you are going to focus on MLS properties, you should start working with a broker right now, okay? Because they're going to take you to see properties, they're going to show you the properties, they're going to do a CMA or calculate what the after repair value on the property is going to be. Just make sure that the broker you work with is real estate, it's investor friendly, okay? Because most are not. So they just want to work with first time homeowners, right? So they're not used to working with investors. We're looking for great deals. If you're looking for off-market properties, like all of these that we give you, probates, pre-foreclosures, upcoming auctions, you don't need a broker. Now, once you get a property on the contract, at that point, you're going to need an attorney to review the contract. So you have 5 days for inspection and review. Okay, at that point, then you get your attorney involved. Another question is, how do you find a contractor or a handyman? So here on the preferred partners, we have over 80 contractors, handyman, HVAC, cooling, inspectors, you name it. Okay, so we have a lot of resources that you can use. Those are the people that we use, even staging, attorneys, real estate brokers, you name it. So you don't need to scramble, try to figure things out on your own. It's already here for you. So you can utilize all these resources, all these contacts that we currently use, and a lot of investors from Chicago RIA, ChicagoDealVault already use. Okay, so I just want to make sure that all of you do have access to ChicagoDealVault.